Knowledge wields tremendous power. Shree Krishna said to Arjun, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. Look, there is nothing as pure and sublime in this world as divine knowledge. So what should one do? Seat yourself in the boat of divine knowledge and cross over this ocean of life and death. But do you know, the Vedas say exactly the reverse of this as well, and say there is nothing as dangerous in this world on the spiritual path as knowledge. How come? Knowledge wields tremendous power, and those with superior knowledge can accomplish in a few days what would otherwise take people many years to do. Consider, for example, an aeroplane where one wire has come off, and hence this huge flying machine is grounded. There are hundreds on the airfield, but none has the ability to get it flying again. When an aircraft mechanic comes, diagnoses the problem, reconnects the wire, and the plane is again airworthy. How did he accomplish this feat? It was the consequence of his specialized knowledge. This specialty, this amazing power of knowledge applies to the spiritual field as well. Shree Krishna said to Arjun, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. Look, there is nothing as pure and sublime in this world as divine knowledge. So what should one do? Arjun, listen carefully. Sarvam jnana plavenaivam vrijinam santarishyasi. Seat yourself in the boat of divine knowledge and cross over this ocean of life and death. But do you know, the Vedas say exactly the reverse of this as well, and say there is nothing as dangerous in this world on the spiritual path as knowledge. How come? Yes, read the Isha Upanishad. Andham tamah pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau vidyaya gwamratah. The mantra states that those who are bereft of knowledge shall remain in the darkness of ignorance. But those who cultivate scriptural knowledge shall attain an even deeper darkness. And this is the antithesis. Knowledge is equated to the light. And when you are receiving the light, why should it result in darkness? The reason is that when the theoretical knowledge is not accompanied with practical sadhana, with sharanagati and surrender to God, that knowledge is hollow and shallow. Devoid of experience, it results in Gyan Abhiman, the pride of learning. On the other hand, there is another kind of knowledge which is acquired by engaging in the process of austerity, renunciation, dedication, and surrender to God. This knowledge comes from within as a realization. The realized understanding dispels pride. Hence the saying, Vidya dadati vinayam. Bhartrihari Ji Maharaj said, Yada kinchit gyoham dvipa iva madandhas samabhavam tada sarvagyosmitya bhavadavaliptam mama manah. He says, when I was a theoretical pandit, bereft of realization, intoxicated in pride, I thought I am sarvagya, all-knowing. But yada kinchit buddhajana sakashadavagatam tada murkhosmitya jara iva madome vyapagata. I then associated with the God-realized saints. And then I got realizations, inner understandings, and my pride got dispelled. Now, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. Let's understand the distinction between these two kinds of knowledge from my latest book, Spiritual Secrets from Hinduism. Mere theoretical knowledge, which is not accompanied by practice, leads to the pride of learning. Proud people think they know, but their life does not reflect their knowledge. Hence, instead of taking them upwards in life, such knowledge can lead to downfall. Such empty and hollow learning is criticized by the scriptures. The Srimad Bhagavatam states, Karmanya kovidas tabdha mudha panditamaninas. Theoretical scholars merely learn the flowery words of the Vedas and consider themselves as pandits. But such learning, devoid of practical realization, leads to arrogance. In contrast, practical knowledge fosters humility. It makes us aware of our imperfections and how much further we need to go. Such knowledge has been praised in the scriptures. The sign of knowledge is humbleness. Those who do not know are not even aware of what they do not know, and hence they believe that they know it all. This is the vanity of the ignorant. On the other hand, the greatest minds on this planet, they took such a humble stand. Newton, at the end of his tremendously eminent life, confessed, I was like a child playing with pebbles on the seashore while the whole undiscovered ocean lay in front of me. And how right his words proved to be. Socrates, the wise old man of Greece, was asked in his old age, what do you know? He said, when I was young, I thought I know it all, but now I know only one thing, that I know nothing. So, when the scriptures criticize knowledge, they are talking about shallow theoretical knowledge which is not accompanied by practice. This does not mean that we should not acquire theoretical knowledge. We must not remain in mere theory, but if we utilize it properly, it can become a tremendous asset. In fact, it is very useful in developing love for God. The Mundaka Upanishad states, Dhanur grihitva upanishadam mahastram sharam hyupasa nishitam sandayita ayamya tadbhavigatena chetasa laksham brahma saumya. Look, take the dhanush, the bow of the Upanishads, place on it the baan, the arrow of bhakti. Let the sharp edge of it be of bhav, loving sentiments. Now you go to hunt the Supreme Divine Personality. That means you must have theory and also loving devotion. Factually, knowledge becomes realization only when it is accompanied with bhakti. Sa vidya tanmateryaya. There is the story of this rustic villager who saw a group of people going to a hall, and he asked them what's going on. They said, a discourse will be happening on the Bhagavad Gita. A Swamiji has come from the Himalayas. So he said, I must not miss this opportunity. He joined them, but he was completely out of place. They were all well-groomed, dressed with sophistication, while he was a rustic villager. And he was noticed by the guards at the gate, who asked him, do you have an invitation? No, he said. In that case, you cannot get entry. While the satsang on the Gita happened inside, the poor villager was obliged to sit on the outside. What to do? He looked at the banner there of Parthasarthi, with Shree Krishna standing on the chariot and Arjun sitting behind. Arjun was questioning inquisitively, and Shree Krishna had turned around to answer him. Looking at that, this simple villager started thinking, will it not be paining Shree Krishna's back? How concerned he is for Arjun, that in the midst of this situation, he is illuminating Arjun with the purest of knowledge, thinking of the kindness of the Supreme. He started shedding tears of devotion. And he continued to sit there till the end of the discourse, when everybody left, and so did he. Now it was a 3-day series. So the next day, the audience arrived again, and he came and sat down outside like before, and again began shedding tears. These loving tears were cleansing his heart and drawing his mind closer to Sri Krishna's lotus feet. On one side, he was crying. On the other side, the bliss of God was filling up his heart. The third day, he again sat there shedding tears, when a deep sense of peace and beatitude started descending upon him. His mind was now in Yog, Bhakti Yog. After the satsang, the audience departed, and the Swamiji who had delivered the lecture came out to see this man and said, you are still sitting? He said, yes, I was not allowed entry inside. Why not? They did not permit me. So Swamiji said, without listening to the lecture, how come you have been shedding tears? The man said, I was just absorbed in the kindness and the oceanic compassion of Sri Krishna. My heart was melting again and again. Swamiji said, you are the knower of the Gita. This is the purpose of the scriptures. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya, Vasudeva parang Jnanam, Vasudeva parang Tapah, Vasudeva paro Dharmo, Vasudeva para Gati. The goal of every mantra is to help you develop love for the Supreme. Sa vidya tanmateryaya, the Srimad Bhagavatam states. Now, having understood the need for loving devotion in Gyan, let's progress a little further. We will move on to Gyan Yog. What is the difference between Gyan Yog and Bhakti Yog? We are now not talking about theoretical knowledge, but practical, realized knowledge. Gyan Yog is the path by which the yogi strives to know the self as the ultimate goal. By intellectual contemplation and scholastic discernment, they determine, I am not this, I am not that, I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, not the ego. And they strive to be realized and situated in the nature of the self, the Atman. On the other hand, the Bhakti Yogi aims to engage in loving surrender to the Supreme Divine Personality, to know the Lord and to know the self as the servant of the Lord. What is the distinction between these two? Gyan Yog is not difficult. Then it's extremely difficult. Why? Because it's based on self-effort, devoid of grace. The Jnani says, I shall do it. God says, go ahead. I will then not intervene with grace. The Bhakt says, my Lord, my effort is nimitt matra. Your grace is where my faith resides. So the difference can be compared. The Nyaya Darshan says, Marjar Markat Nyay. The example of the baby kitten and the baby monkey. The baby monkey has the onus of latching on to its mother. When the mother jumps from one branch to another, it is the responsibility of the child to grab tight. And if it is not strong enough, it falls down. The mother does not take charge. On the other hand, the baby kitten is so tiny and soft and gentle. Yet, when it needs to be transported from one place to the other, the mother catches it from behind, lifts it and places it there. Likewise, the path of Gyan based on self-effort is like walking on a razor's edge. Gyan ke pantha kripana ki dhara, parat khages ho hi janahi bara. And the path of Bhakti is like the baby kitten. Shree Krishna says in the Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyaham. Those who engage in unalloyed devotion unto me, I shall maintain their yoga kshem. What is yoga kshem? Yog plus kshem. What spiritual assets they are in need of but do not possess, I shall provide. Gyan, Vairagya, etc. What spiritual assets they have already acquired, I shall preserve. I will support them by my grace. So Gyan Yoga is a difficult path, Bhakti Yoga is an easy path, but it is important to understand where these will lead. Then we can decide, should we be Gyan Yogis or Bhakti Yogis? And remember, knowledge is necessary in both. Bhakti is also based on knowledge. Sohana Rama Prema Binu Gyanu. That's not the difference. The difference is in the end goal, as we shall see in the next episode of Spiritual Secrets from Hinduism.